excited. It's our first event of the year in honour of International Women's Day, so thank you all for coming. I've got these amazing three women who we'll get to speak to this evening. So yes, because some people were on CPT and some people got lost. We'll get started immediately. So I'm Ade, I'm the founder of Nubian Skin. Thank you guys all for coming. On our panel we have Eva, who is the founder of Eva Sonaike, an amazing, beautiful African-inspired interiors brand. And we have Abby Oyepitan, who is the founder of Liha Beauty. If you haven't experienced Liha Beauty, you absolutely have to. My recommendation is the Eden oil, but it's an amazing brand. Fun fact, Abby was also an Olympic athlete. So yes, that's my fun fact for Abby. And then we've got Rene Macdonald, who is the founder of Lisou, which does the most beautiful, colourful prints, all in beautiful silk fabrics that she is wearing now. But I'm so excited to introduce these ladies to you and also just have a little chat with them. So, without further ado, could each of you introduce yourselves briefly for the audience?
Hello, lady. Thank you so much for showing up for us tonight. It means a lot. I'm Eva Sonaike, the founder and creative director of Eva Sonaike. I founded an African-inspired luxury interiors brand 16 years ago because I couldn't find what I wanted on the open market, which represented my style and my kind of vision of how a house should look. Started that, we're now one of the leading African-inspired global brands in the interior sector. I love what I'm doing, I'm passionate about what I'm doing, and it's great to be here.
And I'm Catholic. So I'm Abby Oyepitan. I'm co-founder of Liha Beauty, and yeah, two-time Olympic. So yeah, we kind of.
Why did you say that?
I know.
I know.
I know, and I'm trying to be more kind of owning it. I just get really, I don't know, I hate talking about myself, but yeah. What was I saying? Yeah.
Two-time Olympian.
Two-time I started with my friend from university, and it really started because we didn't see not African-inspired, but products that we used to use, so like the shea butters or the Nigerian black soap, and we wanted to kind of, I hate the word, more palatable for Western market, and just introduce people to products that we used growing up. And we kind of reworked these kind of like staples of Nigerian products, and and we founded it over 6 years ago, and yeah, we were stocked all over, but it's still a very small brand, but yeah, hoping to scale.
Hello, I am Rene Macdonald, well actually Rene Moshi Macdonald, and I am a Tanzanian Londoner. I think that's best describes me. I started, founder and creative director of my own fashion brand called Lisou, and yeah, stocked kind of all over the world. We're now mainly a D2C company, and we ship worldwide, and basically what we do is bring the colours and the prints of Africa to the West. So the way I look at it is like we're bringing joy. Absolutely. And I would say probably our USP is that all of the prints are designed in-house by me, so that any Lisou product you buy has an exclusive print.
Amazing. So all of you should please check out their brands because they are absolutely stunning. And I know for me, when I started Nubian Skin, it was really fun. I started because I couldn't find new products, right, that worked for me. It was something that there was a need that I had. Is there a pivotal part of your entrepreneurship journey which made you believe you could make a difference?
I was just saying to a lady just earlier that for me it was the lack of colour in the West. So living here, I would sort of sit on top of the double-decker bus and look at people, as we all do, and it just always seemed to me that everyone was either wearing grey or black, and I was like, oh. And then every now and again, in fact, there was a particular day, I saw a woman in a bright red fedora hat with feather, and she immediately, like, my eyes just zoned in on her, and it made me smile, and I just thought, yeah, she's brought her A game today. You know? So that was probably, and I think like everybody who starts their own business, you do it because something's missing and you have a need. So you kind of, you know, I thought to myself, there were maybe 6 billion people in the world. There were going to be other people who had my sense of, you know, my aesthetic.
Yes.
So off we go.
Oh, I love that.
It's interesting.
Absolutely love that.
What I really can just follow you, Rene. For me, it was really similar. I was looking for products in my house. I was working in fashion back then. I was a fashion editor. Again, everything was relatively muted. I did also some interior styling and interior writing back then. Everything was muted. There was one particular designer, Kelly Hoffman, absolutely amazing aesthetic, but everything was grey and black, and I just wanted the colors that I knew from back home. But I also wanted an African narrative in the home and not just something. There were market brands out there, like beautiful. I mean, Etsy was dark, and there were Spitalfield markets where people did Ankara cushions, but I wanted something on a kind of more elevated level almost. So I started the brand. To be honest, I didn't know what I was doing. I started it, and for me, the pivotal moment was it was literally the first season we got out there. Then I got a call from Liberty, and they loved it.
Wow.
And they loved the colors and designs they bought. And I think literally it was 3 weeks later, Selfridges was on the phone. Like they were fed up. So we were first season, we were right in the market. Doesn't mean that we didn't stay but that showed me that there was a market for a luxury African brand.
Yes.
And then I started to take it really seriously. And since then, yeah, of course.
And I can testify to that because finally, I have a place that I can decorate, and I really wanted something that felt like me and felt like I could bring elements of my childhood in Nigeria, and honestly, like your wallpapers, your interiors are just phenomenal. So you succeeded. I got it.
What's up?
For me, God, I don't have this fantastic story. I was kind of unconvinced, really. It was more Liha's idea, because I was like, because I was used to shape, I was used to black. I was like, why would anybody want to buy it? So the pivotal moment, I would say, was us getting featured in American. Actually, the pivotal moment was like our really soft launch. So we launched, and this was really to get like feedback on our packaging, and the 2 products. We only launched with 2 products, and we did a festival called Poetic Festival. It was a really small festival. It's a literary festival, really, and we were doing workshop using shea butter. And Anthropology had a tent a few doors down, and they had a massive tent, and they were doing lots of different workshops. And the girls from Anthropology would come to our tent, because we had this like army tent. We just went all out, had a sofa. Anyway, they come to our tent, and they would do our workshops. And they told the head of Anthropology Europe came over. At this point, we didn't have any real like package. We had the packaging, but trying to get that feedback. And she loved the oil. And she was like, I'd love to stock you. And I was like, what? And so and this was literally a soft launch. And she was like, do you have all EU testing? And Liha and I looked at each other like, yeah. We didn't know what she was talking about because we didn't know you were supposed to have testing. And and so that was that. And then we did all the testing, and they waited till the following summer to stock us. And that was like, okay, this could be a thing. Because Liha was like, yeah, 2 products. I was like, nobody even watches with 2 products. I don't understand what this is, but she was so committed to it, and I just retired from my sport, and I was like, okay, I just went along for the ride. I wasn't, and so it wasn't something I was really thinking would become anything really. And then so years later, here we are.
And I love how all of you, even though you're in different industries, have woven your cultural heritage into your brands. And how did you manage to do that? How did you manage to sort of infuse that to your journey?
For me, it was really clear. For me, it was crystal clear that from the beginning, my brand will, and I wanted my cultural heritage to be reflected. So I understand, I'm Nigerian, Yoruba, but I grew up in Germany. So I have 2 very, I would say, different aesthetics that I grew up with, and I wanted that to be reflected in my designs. But I also wanted to make a really, really clear point that an African narrative, and I call it an African narrative because it's such a broad field has a seat at the table in the luxury interior design world. So for me, it's totally clear that everything I do, every fabric I design everything by hand as well, sketch everything. Everything I do has a clear, distinctive feel. I had a major project, a client flew me out to Greece to work on a product, and I really love the design. And he asked me, would you design me an Mediterranean collection? And I had to decline because that's not what I do, that's not what we do. So for me, it's the core of my work is the clear, West African, colourful aesthetic.
That's a lot of conviction to the
It wouldn't work with my ethos.
Yeah.
Like if you would design for like another, yeah, it wouldn't work with my ethos. It's still both product.
I think when we started the brand, it was all about merging our culture. So Liha's mum's an English aromatherapist, and obviously I'm Yoruba Nigerian, and she's half Yoruba Nigerian. So we wanted to merge that, infuse that two cultures, and bring it together. And so we talk about, English essential oils and things like that. And so that was really important to us. And also the aesthetics. When you were talking about like being German and stuff, we didn't see on the market that kind of clean luxury aesthetic, and having that Nigerian. We talk about Nigerian and Ghana because we can get our two shea butters from there. So for mainly like a Nigerian, really high end. So it's not like our product's accessible. It is accessible, but we wanted that really clean, not too fussy, but also. But very much Nigerian, and so I think it was just really important to us. And we talk our products. When we talk about our history and stuff, we're always weaving in Nigeria, being Yoruba into it as well. And I think that's who we are, and I think it's really important to just kind of showcase that. So yeah.
I think I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying, but I also think like I am African at my core, so in a sense, whatever I do is African by definition. So I often get that comment from people that, oh, but you're not doing traditional African fabrics, and it doesn't necessarily, for some people they say, oh, it doesn't look African to me. And I'm like, but I am African.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether you think it looks, according to what your preconceived idea is. I think that just is within you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your culture is just with you. It's the way you raise your kids, it's the way you live your life, it's everything, because our mothers are who they are, and there's no missing the message there. And returning to them, which is rather frightening, because as I've discovered, I hear myself say things and I'm like, oh my God, that came out my mouth. So you kind of can't run away, you can't run away from who you are. And I'm also really proud of who I am.
Yeah.
So why would I not want to celebrate that? And let people know about, because again, the three of you have the advantage of. Now, I was going to say have the advantage of being Nigerian. I didn't
It is an advantage.
I'm like, well, why did I even give you that? Because we all know East Africa rules. I'll let that on the side. No, but you have the advantage of the fact that most black people, the people in the West meet, are either from the Caribbean or they're Nigerian.
Yeah.
We don't have your cash. We don't have your coins, so we can't easily leave or go elsewhere. But it was just, that's really important to me too, is to say, look, Africa is this huge continent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we all have our blackness in common, and obviously pre-colonialism we were one country. But we're also, within each country, there are so many different tribes and so many different, so it's just like kind of trying to teach people about, there is a difference between us. Yes, we're all black women, but we will all have different cultural reference points, different traditional rules. A wedding for you will be different to a wedding for me. But it's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And thank you for bringing some diversity to the panel.
I've always got to bring that out. I'm always the only East African, so I'm like.
Now, one of the things I loved is all of you sort of talked about the beginning of your journey and how a lot of times it's done at a really high point, right? Selfishness, liberty, But the reality is the entrepreneur.
It's a nightmare.
PTSD, like I can't even get the words out.
Yeah.
You know, the journey has a lot of obstacles. And so what, would you share a key obstacle that you face? You don't need to do one that's current because goodness knows we don't need to like have this end in tears. But a key obstacle that you have faced and how you overcame it.
I think the pandemic was another one. So, and probably for an awful lot of people, so awful kind of, obviously on a humanitarian level, but I can remember that day when they sort of announced that it was COVID. Although, funny enough, I got COVID. Yeah, I went to Paris Fashion Week and I got it in February, and it was in the March that it came, and no doctor knew what I had. They were just like, oh, it's just bad flu, and I was like, no, I literally cannot leave my bed. They found out it was COVID. But there was that moment when, you know, we all found out that we were going to go into lockdown, the whole world was going to be a different place, and literally every single order we had, every single wholesaler cancelled. I mean, like a domino.
Yeah.
First one rang, and I was like, oh, okay, fine. Second one rang, and I was like, oh, okay, that's two. Oh, shit, for want of a better word. It's everybody. And then there was like this 2-week period where nothing started. And you're kind of like, oh my God, it's the end of my dream, it's the end of my business. You know, and I remember my husband being like, right, what are we doing today? I was like, I'm not even doing it. And so I had a little pissy party for one, but I get bored very, very quickly, thank God. And after a few hours of feeling sorry for myself, I was like, right, if this is not going to work, I have to feel I did everything in my power to make it work. So that was the real shift. And then after that 2 weeks, it just went completely insane. We were just selling, like we couldn't kind of make enough, quick enough to sell to people. And obviously the factory, they're working with seamstress parts, so everything's slower. But what I learned from that was, I can remember saying to the team, everyone is in the same boat. The big brands are like the Titanic. We are a canoe. We can move real quick here. There's no chain of command that like someone here has an idea and then it has to go all the way to the top, and then the top has to kind of, we're just like this tiny team, and we can go, let's do this, let's try that, and we do it. Like that day or the next day. And that was really a really good lesson to learn.
Oh, I love that, because so often we think, oh, if only I was bigger and I had more money and
Yeah.
resources,
But actually being small
yeah.
just literally meant we could just be like, let's try this, okay, that's not working, let's do this, okay, that's really working, let's develop that. And also being small meant that everybody had a real ownership of the brand, because we were a small team, so everyone really wanted to make it work. So it wasn't the same as a big corporation where maybe you were just like, well, at the end of paying my salary anyway. It was much more like everybody was like, right, let's all really rack our brains and figure this out. And we did.
Oh, okay, the most, I think, well, God, it's been a challenging few years. 2022 was, I think, the most challenging. This year is challenging as well, but 2022 was the most challenging. We ran out of money, so that was a really hard year, but everything that year was terrible. On a personal level, I had lots of issues, just family issues and things, and then we were trying to get investment. We were trying to get investment for about a year. Liha was out there doing it, and it was getting to a point where we're like, we had to see what was on the horizon, and we had our director. She was like, almost like an MD. And so she would be the one kind of running the ops and everything, and she was like, yeah, okay, this is not fair enough, and we had to let her go. And this investor we've been calling for ages gave us a bridge, and then finally invested, and so that was just a kind of really tough, the toughest year, I would say. But it kind of taught us a lesson about financial planning, ensuring knowing your P&L, understanding like what's going on within your business, and not absolving it to somebody or just leaving it to somebody else, which is something Liha and I are very creative, and we kind of want to concentrate on that, and then we kind of like we don't know what's going on within in the kind of financial aspect of the business, and it's something we're still learning. I think that was a struggle, and just having a co-founder as well, like there's struggles in that. I think having people always like, oh, you guys are so lucky to have each other, and we are, and there's so many great elements to that, but it's been we've been friends for over 20 years, so that's, I think those are challenging elements of the business, and trying to sustain that friendship but also run a business together has been difficult. I think the last few years has been COVID was amazing for us, and then you come out of COVID and you're like, okay, it's going to keep going, it's being amazing, and it really is. And so it's just trying to get to the other side. It's been, I think, just in general, I'm sure for everybody else, because we were mainly a wholesale business, pivoting to D2C and trying to do that has been something we're doing from the last year or so. So yeah, we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, well, thank you for being honest.
Oh no, it's fine.
I think sometimes people need to sort of understand the reality.
Yeah, it's been but it's getting there, hopefully.
So more honesty from me. I feel that there have been so many moments. We've been doing it for 15 years, and there's been so many up and downs. And I just told you that we got in the first season to Liberty Self, which is did trade shows in Paris. We then got to Galerie Lafayette, and I was just like on a high and thinking it's going to go on like this forever, and it doesn't. Because one season you're in, and everyone was like, oh gosh, wait, what's it doing? The next season I went totally British, everyone wanted floral prints and stripes, and I was out of everything. It's like literally you're in and out, and then you stand there. Thank God we have different legs. We have got the B2B legs. We work directly as interior designers. I also work as an interior designer, and then I have the D2C where I'm directly working with my customers. So that comes, you go in and out, and now we have actually, like 2 seasons later we were in again.
Yeah.
It goes in and out, and you have to learn that it's like a journey. But I think, again, pandemic was, I thought we were going to close down. I said, like, to Mars, but I'm going to, I said, I'm going to go bankrupt. I kind of put all my stuff on furlough, and it went like this. So it was absolutely incredible because I didn't expect that. Then George Floyd happened. You can't underestimate that. I think all of us in the room can say, when George Floyd happened, suddenly, there were like millions of opportunities which weren't there before. And that's a good or bad thing. It was very difficult. Sometimes you think like suddenly everyone's really focusing on you. But for me, it's more me as a founder. I'm at the core of everything. I have my team, and they need me learning to delegate, learning to. I've been on the verge of like a nervous, mental, physical breakdown. Let's face it. We all run businesses, and navigating your emotional status. Because I have to function. I have to function for my business. I have to function for my family and everyone. But if I don't function in the business, my business will not function. So I think it's learning this balance of giving it all, but still having a balance for yourself. Time to step out, time to breathe, in order to gain more strength to grow with the company. So I think that's a really important aspect.
And I love that you mentioned that. How do you do that? How do you take care of yourself?
I have to be very disciplined and have to really step back. I know when I'm working, I have relatively fixed working hours. I try, of course, if you send an email in the evening, I try to stop at a certain point. And my kids are older now, it's a little bit easier, so I really carve time out for myself. In my sports, I go to the gym, spend time with my family, husband, kids, friends, doing things that I enjoy. And sometimes even when it's really the water's up to here, I'm like, I'm going for a walk, I'm going to do something that I enjoy, be it like strolling through Selfridges and looking at beauty brands or whatever. But sometimes just taking this time off for yourself, that gives you more energy to invest it back in when you need it. And finding this balance, I think that's super, super critical, super important. And I've learned that the hard way, and I'm really grateful that I was able to step back and continue to grow.
Brilliant. Any other insights into taking care of yourself?
It's like such a silly
moment. I'm not sure the news, but I did say my wish last night. I was like,
but you're just like, oh, I've just done something that's only for me.
Yeah.
Or dancing. If I'm stressed out, dancing every time, because it's really hard to hold on to stress and be tense.
Yes.
If you're just dancing like no one's watching.
Yeah.
Although I do it in my studio and everyone is watching. I just think I'm totally lunatic. Sometimes everybody joins in. It's particularly stressful. I'm like, right, dancing time. Because it does just, you know, you kind of like, shake everything out. It's like, what, 2-3 minutes. You sit down, immediately you're going for a walk. Immediately you just feel like, okay. It's, you know, we make clothes, nobody's dying. Let's just get ourselves together and just perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think perspective is everything. I think last year what came to head for me, having like literally nearly having a mental breakdown. But realising it is just a beauty plan. And obviously before the beauty plan, the beauty plan. And just like realising I had like, I think just from stress I had like real medical scare, and the NHS is amazing.
Yes.
And it just after so many tests over so many months, they're like, no, we can't find anything. And literally, because I was like, kind of took myself out of the business a little bit, just realizing it's just I've got a kid, I've got, you know, I'm fine without, you know, with or without the business. It was such a wake-up call for me. And this year I'm like, okay, you know, I do get pissed off, and I'm like, but then I'm like, yeah, it's just whatever, just see what it's just doing what it's gonna do, and it's not like the end and end all like it was a few years ago. So
Yeah.
I think you start to learn as well. For me, anyway, I've really learned this, that there is no point stressing about things that have no control. Because otherwise it's really easy to just worry about everything.
Yeah.
But then you kind of almost have to write a list and go, okay, that I can't control, so I'm just going to let that go. That I can't control.
Yeah.
And just focus on the bits you can control.
Yeah. No, that's really.
But the bits
nice.
you can't, you just can't.
I'm learning as an athlete, because everything was just about myself. It's so self-absorbed, and you know, whether you got up in the morning or whether you went training or whatever, it was all, obviously I had a coach, I had a team and stuff. It was all about me, and then I didn't have to rely on anybody, and so people not doing their jobs made no difference to my performance. So then having a business, and when people aren't doing their jobs, or people are doing, do you know what I mean? That's like, that is my, because I know I'm like, I can be on it, and I'm so focused, I'm so driven. So many people are not. And that is what gives me kills my stress levels, and I'm like, no, I'm just okay.
We have a trade show coming up tomorrow. I mean, it's on Monday, but we're setting up tomorrow. 3, 4, 5 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting here. I would be in the office, like manic, literally manic, going crazy about things and totally stressing, not sleeping. I'm here. I'm going to go home afterwards. I'm going to in the office tomorrow morning. But the stress levels change, and I think they have to change, because otherwise it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
It needs to be sustainable. No. We used to be all there. I mean, let's not face it. We were all at points where I think we took it too far.
Yeah.
So no, it's fine.
One thing I would say is that we are all making it sound like stress isn't part of the equation.
Oh no, it's totally.
And actually, there's a level of stress that is always there.
Yes.
You know, it is like you start a business, and it is like having another child. That's how I see it. It's like my third child.
Yeah, it's my third child.
And it just constantly needs to be fed and watered.
And also, actually, it's not as
looked
rewarding as an
after.
actual child. Sometimes it's just like.
He doesn't smile cutely at you.
No. Teenage her, he'll be like in the office. No.
But I think it took therapy for me to be able to manage the stress, because I got to a very, very unhealthy point. It was actually my sister who was like, you need help more than I can give you. And so I think the other thing that's so important when you're an entrepreneur is your support system.
Yes.
And what sort of support system have you built around yourselves to help
you guys for a start.
Yeah.
So let's it's true.
Yeah, it is
I
true.
mean, like, we're all on WhatsApp with each other, and it's just great when you can just go, oh my God, I'm so exhausted, I'm having a really terrible time. And somebody else just, and someone else can just say, it's fine, it's okay, I felt like that 2 weeks ago, and now I'm okay again, or whatever it is. You know, so I think it can be quite a lonely place, I think, being an entrepreneur, and especially being a black female entrepreneur, because there aren't that many of us, so in the grand scheme of things. So it can be really lonely, and you can kind of spiral into your own little world where everything seems, you know, far bigger than it is.
That's true.
So when you have other people, whether they're in different sectors to you or the same sector that you can go to, because actually the problem's the same.
Yes, absolutely.
That really, really helps, because then you kind of can go to bed and go, okay, it's not just me, I'm not a failure, because this stuff actually is normal.
Yes.
This happens. And so-and-so said they know someone who can help.
Yeah.
So, and I think women are really good at that.
Yeah. And actually being vulnerable and open, it's just
Because
like
men are,
having that space.
Yeah.
you know, they're much more like, but I find that for men, like my husband is also an entrepreneur and had 2 of his own businesses, and I remember standing in a conversation with my husband and various other entrepreneurs, and all men, and then there was me, and all white men. And they were so much more like, oh, I'm really good at this, and I'm really good at that. This is fine, I make this much money, da 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 da. And I kind of was just listening to them, and I was thinking, God, women don't have conversations like this. We're much more like, no, I've been lucky, things have sort of, you know, but we're not sort of as show-offy, I suppose. But we also share the difficult things.
Yes.
And I think men kind of don't in the same way.
Yeah. I guess I can see that. I can tell you, once I hit it like really big time, I will not be humble. I'll be like, everyone is Exactly. I am amazing. I need to understand this.
No, but you'll still have a part of you.
Yes.
A, because not just you're a woman, but because you're a kind human being.
Yes.
That there will still be a part of you, however successful you become, that will still have empathy for other people and will still share, because the more successful you become, the more difficulties that may happen. So, and I think you will always have that side where you will just go, yeah, but last year was shit.
The little voice in your head, but I feel like you can have empathy and be kind and still be literally I've learned, I'm very proud of what we've achieved. I love what I'm doing, I love to speak about it, and I love to speak positively about it. And I was on a business mission years ago in Nigeria with the London Chamber of Commerce or something, where all men, mainly corporate or like kind of oil and gas, and oh my gosh, I learned so much from them, because they were literally stepping up, speaking, and you're going to them really radical, making one appointment after the appointment, and they weren't even that great. Phenomenal. I think I had the greatest business, but they were all so sure. So I think that's something I've learned from. But in terms of my safe space, I think that I distinguish. So I have 2 friends. First of all, my family, of course, my family, husband, my kids. I've been supportive. I have to say that as well. One few years, I had another nervous breakdown. I was like, that's it. I'm not going to close the company. I'm not going to continue. My kids stepped up. And I don't know how you can't do that, because what you've established here is amazing. That's what we know. And I was like so touched by that, because they said, that's how we know you. You know, you have to continue. We're so proud of you. They never say no. But so I have 2 branches. I have my girls, my really, really close girlfriends, which are really important for me, and where I can share everything. I mean, we had a very in-depth conversation, and my friends, and we talk about everything. And then I have my business friends, which you are part of. And I set up this mastermind some time ago. I'm copying my husband, because he has a mastermind with a group of friends, acquaintances, where they get together, I think fortnightly, and they talk about everything, job-related, work-related, personal-related, and they really grow together. And I was like, oh, he does it every Thursday, every other Thursday. And at some point I thought, like, I want the same.
Your husband is so involved.
Yes.
I'm really impressed by it. Also, I met her husband, he's really cute. I can say that because I'm not being inappropriate.
she was just like, what is she? I was like, I was like, okay, buy me some. Buy me the coming, I don't know. So so I have family husband, but I think, no, he has this mastermind running for you, so I thought we can do that.
Yeah.
So we started doing it, and I think it's a real safe space because we as women in industry, in the field, whatever we're doing, we can share, bounce back, rant, gossip, and build each other. So I think that's really important.
And we talk about even our children.
Yeah, exactly.
We've all got children of different ages.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to kind of be able to go, oh God, my child's this age, this is my
Exactly.
dilemma, and have everyone else go, oh no, that's normal, or whatever. You know,
You brought up in me, for example, sorry to interrupt you, Rene, because you brought up in me, because when I started the company, I had like a newborn on my lap, and you were like, I mean, absolutely brave, I don't know what to do. I was like, oh yeah, it was easy, I did it. And then in hindsight, I thought it wasn't actually easy. It was a really difficult time.
Yeah.
But I think things like that come up in a safe space in a room like this. So I think that will keep us going and continuing. We have to get back up. I've cleared my diary for the next day. So yeah, I'm on.
I think, I think I concur with you. I think family and friends, I think my family and friends are better than all the things I have to say. And for why I had therapy, so that was really great and very insightful for like my stress and just the way I deal with things and how personally, like my therapist used to say, it's not personal. I would take it so personally. I think one thing I don't have, which I'm quite jealous, is the kind of like the business friend group thing.
You're in.
I wasn't in. You meet the criteria.
I wasn't hinting, but
I wasn't
hinting, but yeah, I did. I'm very like, and again, just being an athlete, I'm very like this, like head down, just getting on with this stuff. I think this year was something that, and I've been thinking about it for a while, but just something, having a 5-year-old and stuff, I just wasn't able to do. But I've been making it conscious. I met with you.
Yeah.
You're I thought we'd met before. We'd never met.
No, we literally, I don't even know.
We emailed with email for years, and then we had been on a podcast together.
Yeah, and we like Instagram, and then we met, and I was like, oh hey, I haven't seen. And she was like, no, this is the first time. And I was like, oh yeah.
But yeah, I think, and we met. I think it was January,
February sometime.
Yeah. But yeah, doing things like meeting more kind of female entrepreneurs, this is something I really want to kind of do, and it is like we had an amazing talk, and it's just so like, you come away thinking, okay, it's not just me, it's not just my business, I'm not a failure, I'm not rubbish. So having that kind of really open and honest dialogue, I think has been really good. But yeah, my family and friends are overhearing about my business. And what the highs and lows and stuff. I've got my brother-in-law's an entrepreneur, and he's an amazing support. We go through similar things, even though he's like in pharmaceuticals and stuff, so it's very different. But it is very like, you go through the same kind of things in business. But I'm trying to cultivate more of like a female entrepreneur.
But I think also the other side of that, when you say like your family and friends are time, I think the key thing, we're all mothers, and it's really great for our kids to see us do this stuff.
Yeah.
So whatever happens, either way, the fact that they can see, my mum was brave, and just because it does take a certain level of bravery, because it's terrifying when you start. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to sit there with stock and let it sell. So I think for them, it's a really, really, I mean, you and I actually have boys only. And I think especially when you have boys, it's really important for them to see that as a role model, because they're living in a culture where both partners are going to have to work. So there's a respect that is needed there, that actually as the woman, you are raising a child, you are starting a business with your baby in your hand. It's a whole other level.
I did it.
It's good for them to see.
They know, and they don't know. And I've got a daughter and a son, and I agree with you. I think it's really important, but also for my daughter. I mean, she sees me speaking at events. They come to my shows when they were like little, and that's what they know, and that's what hopefully they will be in their own field, whatever they want to do. I mean, it's up to them, but that's what they will be.
And they see the hard work.
They see the hard work. Oh yeah, they know it's tough.
It's
You
not
know,
easy.
my kids have been coming to the office cutting fabrics when they were little. I said they have a new intern starting today, and I told them my kids since they're 9 they can cut straight because fabric cutting is not easy.
Yeah.
You think, I mean, the samples which I cut in our studio, which go to they have to be like immaculate. My kids can do that. They know what it takes. It's a simple thing. They can do much more, but I think it's important to show them.
And then you get them to stop taking money.
Tell me it all.
African mothers, as they say. Like, you've been born, there's a job. During the pandemic we had no fulfillment house. I was packing clothes and orders, it was my children. I was like, right. Because I just woke up and I was like, what's wrong with this picture? You're both furloughed and I'm still working. This is not working for me. And then I remember one of my friend's sons said, oh my God, you must make a fortune working for your mum. And my son went, I'm going to do a tally of words.
Exactly. I know, exactly.
And as we celebrate International Women's Day, what legacy do you aspire to leave with your entrepreneurial endeavors?
Gosh. God, I don't know. I think on the topic of kids and my daughter seeing me, she's always like, Mum, you're always working. I think just the legacy of me starting and doing something and be very. I'm of the mind you can do anything. Like my parents always, I know, being Nigerian, being Nigerian, you know, if I wanted to be, you know, Prime Minister, my dad would say, yeah, okay, of course. So I think for me, that legacy of having my daughter seeing that you can achieve anything you put your mind to, I think that would be not a legacy of business or anything. I'm not that person that thinks about leaving a massive business behind or whatever. For me, it's just doing something I love and seeing how far I can take it. And that was something I did in sport, see how I do in business, and I just want her to have that same kind of attitude and showing her that you can do anything you put your mind to. That would be the legacy.
I think changing, I mean, it sounds awful to say this, but in the sense that it sounds very big-headed, I don't mean it that way, but changing the bits in the world that I can change through my business, whether that's, you know, encouraging other women and other young girls that, yes, you can do this, whether it's mentoring people, whether it's taking your business into our continent and really kind of flying the flag, because I think that the thing that it makes us so different from our fellow British or white designers is that for us, we have this huge burden on our shoulders, where we're the lucky ones, we live in the West, so we have to succeed. You know, we kind of almost have no excuse. Everything is kind of there, laid out for us. And I think that is a really difficult thing to explain to people who aren't from our culture.
Yeah.
So when you're, you know, for instance, someone's never met a Tanzanian before, they meet me, there aren't that many Tanzanians in London. If I behave badly, they're like, oh, Tanzania. You know what I mean? So you're kind of flying the flag for much more than yourself. So, like you, I don't kind of think Lisou will, I mean, I'd love Lisou to last beyond my lifetime, but if it doesn't, what the main thing I want to do is just for it to be an example of something that people will look at and say, do you know what, she was just this regular person and she achieved this, so that means I can do it too.
Yes, definitely, it's amazing.
So I would go and my approach is very clear. I'm working in the interiors industry. It's a very small, very niche, very elitist interior industry, especially at the level where I'm working on. And I think I want to open doors. I think I have, to a certain extent, yes, the door a little bit, for our, and I'm talking about Africa as a whole continent now, aesthetic to be an integral part of that industry. Because it was always seen as like safari lodges or like marketing.
Yeah.
No, we have a space like next to everyone. You go, you know, years ago you had ikat fabric from Afghanistan. You have Indian textile. They're like all flourished. We have textile traditions across the continent that I'm working on hard for, you know, for people to accept these and see these and kind of bring these in and understand. That's a really, really important legacy that I want to leave behind, and open doors for others. Open doors for others who want to enter the industry, come in and see I'm doing it, why shouldn't they do it? There's so many black women out there who are the most incredibly talented interior designers. They have an eye for space, an eye for color, eye for pattern, or even if they want to work on a really kind of muted, simplistic design scheme, there's room for all of us. And I think it's I'm one of the few people who has hopefully or will hopefully leave a legacy behind in opening the doors and understanding and making room for others.
What's your surname?
Yeah.
Because you've already done pretty much a lot of it. You've done so many groundbreaking things.
I will say, and this is something that my definition of success over the past decade has changed significantly, because it used to be very one-dimensional. At this stage of my journey, I feel like I've secured my legacy because what I did with Nubian Skin in changing the conversation around what nude is changed the industry. And so it's a really interesting position to be in when there's still so many goals that I want to achieve, but I feel like I've achieved my legacy. And so that is, it took me a long time to come round to that way of thinking, of realizing that like the thing that you really wanted, you've done. So chill out. But yeah, for me, that's something that it took me a while to say I'm proud of it, but I am incredibly proud of what Nubian Skin has done with opening that conversation and changing the industry. So now I think so now my goals are slightly different, but I think I'm really happy to say that the legacy has been achieved, and hopefully
Can I say something?
Yes,
about
please.
That? So I think I told you that. So my daughter was 14 years old. We went bra shopping. M&S. Sorry, I didn't come in. But we needed something quickly, and we went there. And they had like grey, black, white, whatever. And my daughter was like, I can't wear that. It's not my color. She took it for granted that her color was represented in a high street store. That's down to you, I mean. That is down to seriously, because this generation of young girls. For her it was just like, why not? The ladies are like, oh, you can wear this. 14-year-olds. Yeah, so that.
Yes, I love it.
I was like, girl.
So we have a few minutes, so I can open it up to the floor. Does anybody have questions for these wonderful ladies? Let's go.
So I'm always really, well, first of all, thank you so much for sharing each of your stories and the candor. It's just been absolutely inspirational. I'm super obsessed about mentorship and sponsorship. So I would love to know from each of you, like, who was that key, or was there a key mentor in your journey that kind of really changed or shifted?
It's a good question. No, go ahead.
I would say mine was my mum, really, who kind of really ignited my love of fashion. But that was the main person. I think when I began, I didn't even really know where to look, because there really aren't that many black female designers when you compare. So I kind of didn't know who I was meant to go to, if you like, which is why I think mentoring is so important, and it's something I do. But really, it was my mum.
I think for me, again, I'm talking about sport and Thomas, I was very fortunate. I had met from a very young age, from middle school, I met a lot of teachers, coaches who would just took me under their wing and just saw something in me and just helped me. So I was just, you could call them mentors or whatever, but it was just something that I kind of took for granted. I always had somebody that, let's say, from the age of 8, my middle school teacher, to when I went to do athletics when I was 14 to work till I retired basically. There was always somebody, and there was always a coach. So, and they inspire. You know, when I'm down or wherever, or things weren't going, they always inspired me. So I was very fortunate. I don't know, I was always really lucky to meet people who saw something in me and are able to cultivate that and help me cultivate it. So I don't, and athletics, I don't know, that's how I got it.
For me, it's similar to you, and the reason why I was sighing is actually I don't have a mentor. I never had a mentor, which is quite. I always think I would love to have a mentor. I'm mentoring myself. The creative space, I would say, especially for Black women, is quite lonely, and it's quite difficult. You know what? You don't have to have a creative mentor if you're working in the creative field. You don't necessarily have to have someone. But the reason there are not a lot of people. There's not a lot out there for us. So my mom is my role model, my mentor. She's a pediatrician, she's a doctor, total different field. But I always look up to her, how she went to Germany, built herself up from the humble to where she's right now. But I think it's very, because I'm thinking about it now. I'm mentoring. I'm part of the Storehouse mentoring group. We had our final mentoring session on Tuesday, and there were 3 or 4 Black girls in the room who were very unhappy because I didn't have any Black mentors. So in the creative space, I mean, there were 2 Black female, myself and another lady, were the only Black mentors in the space. So I feel that we have to really step up, reach out, and I think it's different if you're maybe in the corporate one. I don't know how it's in the corporate one, but in the creative space, there's not a lot. There are not a lot of us in prominent positions. There are quite a few men who are in stronger positions or in strong positions, but there are not a lot of female. In the interior world, there's hardly anyone. I mean, you can count us on one hand, I would say. I'm doing a trade show tomorrow. I'm going to be the only Black person in the there. You can count on one hand. And I know that my products are the most beautiful, and they wanted me. They want me. They're like, please come and show me that. Not going to give me any discount or anything, but there's not a lot, and I'm really advocating for anyone who's in the creative field to step up and do something and reach out, because we are needed very, very much. So that's why I was saying.
Thank you. And Joy,
Yeah, sure. So I spoke to all of you earlier. So I'm a early stage founder, started last year. And a question on what keeps you going, because it's going to be a year for me in April, and already I'm complaining, oh my gosh, why did I sign up for the tough life? This is so hard. And always trying to remember your why and consistently remember what drives you. So I'd love to know you guys have been 10 years, 6 years, 15 years. What keeps you going?
I can concentrate in my passion keeps me going. I mean, I was cutting fabrics today, and you know what? Even for me, cutting fabrics, I needed to get done really quickly. I was cutting fabrics. I was like, oh my gosh, they are so good. I love what I'm doing. The love for what I'm literally not every morning, but I normally try to get into the office before my team comes there. I'm excited about what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. I believe in what I'm doing. I can see the impact it has, even if it's really small. That keeps me going. I cannot get tired of it. Seriously, I could work literally 24 hours a day if it wouldn't be unhealthy for me. But I love it. And I think if you have a passion and love for what you're doing, it comes automatically. And there's a lot of rubbish. There's a lot of things that I don't enjoy and things but the overall feeling I have for my business, absolute love, joy, passion. I love it. I could do it for the rest of my life. So that keeps me going. That's what comes out.
I'm just going to agree with you. I think that's it in a nutshell.
I love it.
I think coming from a totally different background, doing something that I didn't even think was something I could do. I'm learning so much. I've learned so much from the business. I knew nothing about skincare or running a business or anything. So I think I'm always learning. Now I'm deep into financial P&Ls and cash flow.
unsexy.
Really unsexy.
But do you know what? Since I've learned it, I actually quite enjoy it. I enjoy actually looking at the numbers, understanding the numbers, and it's something I shied away from for such a long time, till, as I said to our panel. I do enjoy it, and it is really tough at the moment, but as an athlete, I would put it, those tough moments, I know we'll ride it out, and we'll get through the other side. I did that. That was my whole career. And so, yeah, and when you enjoy something, it's just, it becomes easy to get up. You know, rarely do I feel like I can't be bothered, but yeah, so yeah, I agree.
Amazing. Well, thank you all so much. These were amazing, amazing, amazing comments. And thank you guys also. Maybe a little bit of time to mingle. Please eat all the food. Please eat all the food.